All right, again, my name is Juanette Green. I am happy, so happy to have you all join us tonight. So warm welcome to everyone here. So tonight, if you know me personally, you know I say, or professionally, you know I say, you could be anywhere in the world, but you chose to be here. And I thank you for that tonight. This is a very important family meeting. We have Superintendent Mike Miles and HISD Executive Leadership here tonight. We're going to have a productive conversation. What that means is he is here to give you information, because I know there's a lot of information out there. We're going to give you the correct information, tell you what the mission of 2035 is, how we're preparing students for that across HISD, and also give you answers to your questions and your feedback as well. So I'm excited to have you here. I know they had one meeting on Tuesday night. Y'all know we're in the best place right now, so I am so happy to have all of our feeder parents here, not just MC Williams. I thank you for your continued support, and I ask that you allow Superintendent Mike Miles to come to the mic. He's going to introduce everyone else, and let's just have a wonderful night. Thank you all.
Thank you, Principal Green, and thank you, community of MC Williams Middle School. I'm happy to be here. We're going to answer some questions here in a moment, but first, let me introduce some people who are here. But I want to start with the board member. We have board member Cassandra Bandy. We will also have others. I don't see anybody else yet, so she's going to speak just a minute or two about the board.
Good evening, everyone. I have some colleagues that are on their way, probably stuck in traffic, and they'll be able to greet you as well. Thank you so much for having us here at MC Williams. This means everything to us to engage with the community and for the superintendent to present his plan directly to you. I am very personally invested in this area. I'm a graduate of Booker T. Washington High School, as you can see from my blue and gold, right? And it's so nice to talk to a lot of you. My assistant principal from Booker T is here, some classmates, so it's very nice to see everyone, and we look forward to engaging with you more after the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Bandy. Could I have the division superintendents come up, please, just for a moment? As you know, it takes a team, and we have placed the district into 4 divisions, and so I just wanted to introduce the division superintendents. 3 of them are here tonight. She's interviewing candidates. Orlando Riddick is division in the north side. Dr. Luz Martinez is division superintendent for Central. And Imelda de la Guardia is the division superintendent for the south side. They have been working really hard, getting ready for school to open. Thank you very much, division superintendents. All right. Let me talk a little bit about where we are. And then I'm going to leave a lot of time for questions, but I think I want to talk first a little bit about where we are and what we're doing, because you might have heard a lot of stuff. I want to tell you a little bit about what we're doing and then allow you to ask questions for the remainder of the evening. I've said some things in the board meetings, and I'm going to repeat some of it here. I want to have, with this group, just like last Tuesday, an honest conversation. So a lot of things you'll hear, I'm going to tell you some other things, and hopefully you'll be okay with information that is transparent. There is a lot of good things, but there are some brutal facts we have to also talk about. Okay? So let's talk about that. Our country in education is not doing that well. If you look at this, what's on the screen, just let's look at 4th grade reading, for example. This is data from the nation's report called the National Assessment of Educational Progress, the nation's report card. Fourth grade reading, this says 32% of the students, fourth grade students in America can read at or above grade level. Texas is pretty close at 30%. Now, let me say, for an educator, that's not good enough when 30% of our kids can read at grade level. All right, large urbans, those are the large districts, like the size of Houston or Dallas, it's 26%. HISD, 19%. So our profession, and I'm part of that problem, right? I'm in the profession. We have not done right by kids in this country because our proficiency rates are low. Problem number one, low proficiency. Problem number two, inability to change that. So if you look at this graph, and by the way, all this information is publicly available. Oh, I've got to stop and correct a mistake I just made. I'm looking at Stacy Taylor. Can you stand up? She's the Senior Executive Director of one of the feeder patterns. Stacy Taylor, you might recognize her. She's been part of the district for a while. Sorry, Stacy. Problem number two, inability to change that. If you look at 2003, we're talking about 18% proficient. In 19 years, we moved that percentage 1 point. Problem number two, inability to change it. 8th grade, same thing, right? Yes, we moved it 4 percentage points in 19 years. By the way, that's not just HISD, okay? This is our profession. Education has not been changing achievement over time. But HISD is also in that position. Problem number two, inability to change it over time. Problem number three, this is STAR data. Actually, no, this is still NAEP data. We're going to get to STAR in a minute. Problem number three is the gap is too large. Let's just look at the gap on the right, the right colors. On the right, you see that 60% of our HISD white students are reading at or above grade level. It's 11% for our black students. For Hispanic students, it's not much better, it's 14%. The gap is too large. Of the 4 problems, I've talked about 3, the third problem is the deepest cut for me. It's the deepest cut. In the end of the day, this is an equity problem. We have a tale of 2 districts. We have a whole bunch of good stuff happening and there's in every school, but this group of schools over here are doing fine. They're doing okay. I mean, all schools can improve a little bit because I'm not even happy with 60%, but that's an okay score. Kids can read. And then we have a whole bunch of schools over here that are not getting the best education possible. And many, many kids cannot read at grade level. Look, today's is kind of a unique day. I don't know if you saw the news. The Supreme Court cut back affirmative action. I'm an educator. That's what I do. I educate. I don't have much to say about the politics or the legislation. All I know is this. Now it's even more important than ever for us to get equity right in the schools, in elementary, middle, and high. We can't wait. How long do you want to wait? Having said, I'm not going to try to bring down the scores of the schools doing well. We're going to try to keep those scores high, actually improve them, and We're going to put resources over here so that we can close that gap. And we can provide the type of magnet programs, the type of magnet schools, the type of reading curricula, the type of effective teaching that all of our kids deserve. That's what we're trying to do in the end of the day. And it's a response to data like this. Now, that doesn't mean that people haven't been working hard. It's the system that you have to look at first. First you look at the system, and then you look at the leadership. Me and the team, the administrative team. That's where I'm going to look. I'm going to look at the system that we have, and then we look at us. I'm telling you, there is absolutely no way for us, HISD, to change those graphs to improve the fates of the kids in the underserved populations if we keep doing the same thing. And I hear all the time, well, you can't do that because we've been doing it this way. You can't do that because I want to keep this. We have got to change that mindset. That's what Destination 2035 is about. It's an equity issue more than anything else. 3 problems so far. Low proficiency. Number 2, inability to change that over time. Number 3, the gaps are too high. That's reading. Math is even worse. Problem number 4, though. Adam Ravon, ladies and gentlemen, also board member. Kendall, you too. Stand up, please. Adam Ravon, current board member. You know Kendall, he's trustee, elected trustee. Oh, and I'm sorry, and Michelle Cruz-Arnold, right there, board member. Michelle Cruz-Arnold is also here tonight. Thank you. Sorry I didn't see you earlier. Next time, throw something at me. I'm busy talking to the people. It's your ward, 4th ward? Oh, okay, good. Oh, this is, okay, gotcha. 4th reason, 4th challenge is, I'm going to go skip through that. I'll come back to this real quick. 4th challenge. The world moved on. In the last 20 years, while we've been trying to get kids to read, do math, the world moved on. Now we have a 4th problem, and that's year 2035 competencies. That means information literacy, communications, problem solving, learn how to learn, dealing with AI. Those are skills our kids today are going to need in the future. We can't wait till the year 2033 to get ready for the year 2035. So now, not only do we have to get kids to read, write, and do math, we also have to get them ready for the year 2035. Now, some are going to say, look, my school has a B on accountability. My school has a C on accountability. MC Williams has a B or C, right? I think a C on accountability. Now, let's applaud that, right? Let's applaud the fact that we got some good things going on here at MC Williams, and actually all the schools. Yeah, please. There's some good things going on. There's no question. And that came with some blood, sweat, and tears from your teachers and administrators working their butt off for kids. And still, we need to keep going, because this data shows that we got some work to do still. This is Williams STAR data. Guys, you can look it up yourselves. It's all on the website. English language arts, we're at 20% proficient or advanced on reading. Lower in math, 12 percentage points. That's not good. 7th grade, a little bit better in reading, still way behind the district. Math is way too low. And this is 8th grade. So look, I know we got a lot of challenges. Way too many challenges. And this, our group of kids today have way too much to deal with in society, more than they should ever have. I get that. At the same time, our charge is to take care of them and get them to read and be prepared for the year 2035. I know people want to focus on the care, and we should. We have to care about all kids, and we have to help them read so that they can be prepared for the year 2035, just like their other peers. That's the job. That's what we got to do. And we need a different system to do it. So the system we're going to put in place, and we're going to start with the NES schools and the new education system schools. That's the system we're going to put in place. I'll tell you a little bit about it. The vision is over the next 3 or 4 years to have about 150 schools be in this new education system. Not 273, because some schools don't need this sort of transformation. But many of our schools do. All right, I'm going to race through the rest of this, tell you what it means for the school. Now, the reason why I'm talking to you about this is eventually this will probably come to MC Williams. I don't know if the principal wants to be an NES aligned school or not. Where's the principal? No pressure, you don't need to, it's voluntary. Say that again.
We actually did a staff vote on Tuesday, and most of our staff did vote for NES Align, given the criteria and the requirements for the NES as well.
All right, well, I like that vote. And if the staff voted, that's good. So let me tell you what that means. What does NES Align mean? It means this. The teachers here are not going to have higher salaries except they get a $10,000 stipend for being an NES school. So they'll get the salaries they were going to get, and then on top of that, they'll get the $10,000 stipend. The support staff will get $3,000 stipend. But the focus will be on instruction, instruction, instruction. Principal Green and her team will be focused on coaching teachers almost daily in the classroom, supporting and coaching just like a coach on the football field. I've never seen a coach on a football field stay in their office for 3 weeks and then come out every 3 weeks, take a look at what's going on and say, you know, good job or bad job, and then leave. That's not what a coach does. What else does it mean? It means that we're going to push our supports closer to the school. I know this is a busy slide. The bottom line on this slide is that more supports pushed away from Hattie Mae into the field. That's what this means. We'll use a different staffing model, actually more teacher apprentices, more learning coaches, more staff, like science of reading teachers, as well as ELA teachers, more staff. We'll have teacher apprentices. Your kids here will not have substitutes. I don't have anything against subs. Please don't report that, that I have something against subs. I don't. But I know High quality instruction starts with the teacher in the classroom. Nobody can be as effective as that teacher. And then teacher apprentices who also learn the model, learn the kids, learn the routine, learn the materials, they're the second best. And then learning coaches, and a distant fourth are substitutes. Learning coaches we already talked about. Our kids are behind in reading. Let's just be honest about that. That's not really a criticism. It's not their fault wherever they are. It's our fault. And in some cases, it is the administration's fault for not providing the right curriculum. And in some cases, it is our fault because we didn't insist on high-quality reading instruction for special ed students. Sometimes it's our fault because we didn't insist on having the highest effective teacher teach our lowest performing schools. You want equity? I tell my colleagues in any district, don't talk to me about equity unless your highest performing teachers are teaching your lowest performing schools. That's equity. Everything else is fluff. So we're going to have science of reading in our schools. We're going to continue dual language for those schools that have it. The part that might be confusing for some is that the science of reading class will be across the district. Even dual language schools have to have science of reading in English, and then more English or more ELA in Spanish. Okay, more language arts in Spanish, but the decoding that has to happen in science of reading has to happen in English. And then we're going to give, look, overnight I can't transform your school into a magnet school like some of our other magnet schools. But we're going to give it a try to give our kids here more experiences, not just electives. Yes, they will continue to get electives. On top of that, they will get other things like martial arts, dance, photography. And those folks who teach that will be community members who have time. They'll get paid on a 1099, somewhere between $30 and $35 an hour. So if you're a photographer, you're a dance instructor, you're a martial artist or something, you have a skill that you can give our kids, look for the advertisement when we advertise for that among the community, and you can apply and hopefully teach our kids your skill. This is the same slide, except I highlighted that we're going to push SPED and increase the SPED support, special education services support to our schools. There'll be a more effective common schedule. What does it mean for the classroom? I'm racing here because I know I've been talking too long. The last slide. That's an example of a schedule. Every school will be a little bit different because everybody has different lunchroom capacities and things like that. But basically, that's the sort of schedule NES schools will get. Okay? And obviously, that's just the first half of the day. It's just an example. If you become an NES school, you'll get a lot of detail. What does it mean for the classroom? For the most part, it means a lot for the a lot of difference for the teacher. So, what does this mean? We, the education profession, we have to professionalize our teaching workforce. What does that mean? That means we got to take a lot of the tasks that they do away from them so that they can focus on the task at hand. We call it the hospital model for a reason. It's like, do you mind if I take off my jacket? Okay, so just, they took this opportunity to tell me that, you know, I need to pay for an air conditioner here. They're advocating for you. So, like, and I think we probably do. It's like, whoa. All right. We call it hospital model for a reason. It's like a doctor. Doctors do not prepare the materials. Doctors do not put out their instruments. Doctors don't even take blood pressure or draw blood or anything like that, right? That's all done for them. In fact, many doctors don't look at the MRI. They send it to India, get the MRI analyzed, and then they look at it after it's already analyzed. Things like that. What does the doctor do then? They do the surgery, and they better do it better than anybody else can do. That's what they do. Teachers, same thing. Why should teachers make copies? Right? I mean, and I don't even think they should make lesson plans. They don't need to prep the room or put up the ViewSonic or the technology. Then what do teachers do? They teach like champions. They're keeping the pace. They're keeping the rigor up. They know the question behind the question. They're taking this question and making it apply to everybody. That's how good they are. They don't have a lot of classroom management problems because they're that good. They know the kids. They know what their buttons are, and they know how to keep kids on task. That's an expert. That's a doctor in this analogy. That's what we want. So we're going to do all these things for them to make sure that we get a professional teaching your kids. We're going to help them because teachers have too much to do right now. It's kind of funny because, we want great teachers, and we know that we're working them too hard, but then we want them to be the disciplinarian, we want them to be the counselor, the social worker, the basketball coach, the pastor at the church. They want the parent. They want them to be parents. They want the teacher to do everything. And guys, teachers have good hearts. They're nurturers. That's why we joined the profession. But at the same time, come on now, we do have a main job if you want your kids to read, write, and do math. All right, I'm almost done here. I got to talk about this, though. What's going to change in the NAS schools? Well, in some schools, not all schools. We are going to have a safe and orderly environment. Now, you probably have one here, but not all schools have a safe and orderly environment. So at the NAS schools, we have a slightly different discipline model. Let me say this first, though, so that there's no confusion. Any discipline program starts with the love of the kids. You should not be a teacher if you do not love kids. Okay? So that's where it starts. Or at least care for the kid. Right? That's where any discipline program starts with that. That's number one. Number two, any discipline program should be differentiated because kids are different. They're not like cogs in a machine. They're not a cookie cutter. Every kid is different, so the discipline should be tailored a little bit different for different levels of discipline. That's number two. But number three is also that we, in our profession, have not done a good job about. And that is, number three is the classroom has to be orderly so that the other kids get the best education possible also. Teachers should not have to spend 20 minutes on one kid out of every hour. Okay? So how do we do that in a way that's caring, differentiates the discipline, and also protects the classroom environment so that every other kid can learn and not take 20 minutes away from 24 other kids? Well, the way we do it is here. We have three main rules for our classrooms. Rule number one, no disrespect for any adult. And guys, I have been in lots of schools, thousands of classrooms, been a principal of my own middle school, taught middle schoolers, taught high schoolers also. And I have 3 kids of my own, but when you are in schools a lot, you get to know kids, and I love middle school the best. Because that's where, they're trying to find themselves. and they're all so dramatic. I blame The Bachelorette, actually. You know, because The Bachelorette, you know, the TVs, I think the world kind of went a little bit south because of that program. It's like, I did not get a rose today. My life is over. Your life is not over. You've known that guy for 2 weeks. Your life is not over, okay? But that's middle school drama. Like, middle school love to have that kind of drama. Anyway, we're going to have no disrespect, can't disrupt the learning process, and number 3, no bullying. Now, if a kid violates these rules and a teacher sends them out of class, we're not kicking them out of school. We're not suspending them. There are some infractions for which suspension is warranted, but most of the time that's not the case. So we're going to send them to counseling if we need to send them to the counselor. Sometimes we just send it to the administrator, and the administrator says, Johnny, what are you doing? You cannot do that. Stop acting a fool. You know, and that's all it is. Other times we call the parent because the parent needs to be involved. It is a differentiated approach. Most times all we do is once we have a conversation with the child, if that conversation is deep and the child is really hurting, then we need a deeper conversation with a psychologist, social worker, dean, somebody. But most of the time it's just, you know, I'm sorry, Mr. Miles, I'm having a bad day, or, you know, my girlfriend broke up with me, or, you know, my mom got me up late and I'm feeling out of, okay, all right. You can't take away from the education of other kids. So right now you're going to go into the team center and you're going to get back online right from the class you left so you don't miss your education. That's how we do it in the NES schools. All right, last thing. What does it mean for your student? Real quick. NES school doors open at 6:30 and they close at 5. So kids, you have to be at school at 6:30. I'm kidding. This kid's eyes got like, what? No, the doors are open at 6:30. Parents, this is more about you. You can drop your kid off at 6:30, okay? And you can go to work. We'll take care of your student. You can pick them up by 5, okay? Or we'll send them home on a bus, but you can pick them up by 5 o'clock. High quality instruction every day. One of the things about the NES model is we focus on instruction, and your student should expect high quality instruction every day. Your student should not be ever sent to an auditorium because the teacher's not present or the teacher's late. Your student should never be combined with another group of kids because the teacher's not present or the teacher's late. That should not happen. Okay? The students are not going to like this either, but your student should never go to class, have a movie popped in, and then they watch a movie for that day because the teacher's not present. Tell me that doesn't happen in schools sometimes. Maybe not at MC Williams, but guys, I've been around. So, you know, I've seen it. All right. Kids will be engaged doing the work, not the teacher standing up here lecturing like I'm doing. They're going to be more involved. The kids are going to be doing more of the work. And working in small groups, that's the model. We're going to do year 2035 competencies. Art of thinking, learning how to learn. I already talked about dyad. Student travel. MC Williams. Your 7th graders will travel out of state, maybe to Washington, D.C. or somewhere out of state. 8th graders, you will travel out of country. This year in my network that I left, the kids went to Japan. The year before, they went to Costa Rica. We wanted to go to Japan the year before, but they still had some COVID restrictions. Anyway, you will be going somewhere, 8th graders, if you got to hit 92% attendance rate. 92% attendance rate. Okay, so your average attendance was 87% last year. I think it was 87, or what was it, Miss Green? Where's Principal Green? What was the attendance rate last year? 89.6. So that's 89.6 is good. 92% is what you need. And then no suspensions. No suspensions. Sorry, we're going to send you all across the world. If you're not behaving right, no, we can't do that. All right, that's student travel, and we already talked about safe and orderly environment. Let me close with this, and then I'll turn it over to board members to see if they want to say anything. This model is not about taking anything away. This is about recognizing the things that are working and adding to that, making it stronger, but in a systemic way, not a piecemeal way. That's the difference. So if your school has agreed to be in this model, you're going to see these sorts of things next year. I'll take questions in a second. Board members?
Good evening. Thank you all for coming tonight. We really appreciate it. We're excited about the plan that the superintendent has. We're here to support not only his vision, but also to learn and hear from you as we go forward. We'll be in the community more and more as we get the opportunity to listen to and develop a set of new goals for the entire system of HISD. We will be working hand in hand with the superintendent as well as listening to your voice to determine, what is your vision and what are your values? What things are you concerned about and what things do you want to see going forward? And we're going to bring all those things together to develop a set of goals for the system of HISD. And then we're going to hold the superintendent accountable to achieving those things along the way as we also work towards working in these NES schools. So thank you so much. We'll be here for questions, and I'll turn it back over to the superintendent.
Thank you, sir. Trustee Cruz-Arnold, you okay? Okay. So we're going to take questions now. Let me say just a couple things up front. Hopefully you have a question, but if you don't have a question, you just have a comment, that's okay. Please limit it to about a minute so we don't do just comments and we get people's questions answered. If you have a question, please just do one question at a time. True story, like last time we had one person give me 7 questions written down at one time, which is okay, except that other people have questions too. So let's try to honor the fact that other people have questions, so let's just ask one question at a time and then get back in line if you want to ask more questions. And then number 3 is these questions are translated. And number 4, if we're running out of time, we're going to go to the parent questions. Okay? We're going to limit it to parent questions if we run out of time. Because this is MC Williams and the broader community's time.
Thank you.
Okay? We're going to be at other communities all summer. All right, so who has the first question? Do you have the line starts over here. Right with this lady with the microphone.
Right here. You can start making a line, please. Thank you. All right. Maybe this way? I'm sorry, sir. This side. Let's try to make it this side.
I'll just pass.
All right. Ready?
I'm ready, go.
My name is Eric Lakey, and 45 years ago, HISD came to this community and told us that they was going to do so much great things for this school and walked away and closed the school down to a middle school. So the question is, can we believe you? Back then I asked, why did you hate us so much? I graduated 45 years ago when it was a junior, senior high school, and then walked away with them swearing up and down that they wasn't gonna close it down, they weren't gonna do nothing, it was gonna be the same thing the next year, and then sent the kids off to another school.
Thank you for asking the question. I've just got two things by way of response. Number one, I try hard not to say things that I don't mean, and I try hard not to make promises I can't keep. So transparency requires us also to be honest about both what we can and can't do. Number two, I understand that the onus is on me, the board, and the team to make good on what we say. Because you are absolutely right. Every superintendent, every administration promises different things or say they're going to do different things. And I get that. The only thing I can say is, I can say a couple things. Number one, look at the track record I have. That's number one. It's about doing, not just talking. And number two, wait till you see what we do at the beginning of the year. Don't listen to what I say, listen to what we do. And that's what you can count on that at the beginning of the year. Having said that, not everything's going to be perfect. We have the model. We have 28 schools at this time that we are doing this model, and you heard from your principal, there will be other schools that volunteer to do this. So the best I can do, sir, is to say, we're going to act upon what we say and just hold us accountable. You already heard the board is going to hold me accountable, and I'm going to hold myself accountable, and I'm going to hold my team accountable for doing what we say we're going to do. In the end of the day, if your kids can't read better and aren't better prepared for the year 2035, then I need to go.
I'll just mention also that there are no plans currently to close any schools. There haven't been any recommendations to the board to close any schools in the system. There will, potentially come a time when we have to make some hard decisions, but those decisions will definitely be predicated on the community voice and what we represent as a whole to you all. So if there comes a time when those decisions lead to a school in a certain area, we're going to have those conversations early and often and have great consideration for whatever comes across our board.
Okay, so hello everyone. That's first. My question is, since Williams will be a NES aligned campus, what does fine arts look like?
So fine arts looks like very much what you already have. We're going to have a conversation with every principal, and NES will be slightly different based on the electives that you already have. If the school wants to keep the electives they have, we're going to keep the electives they have. We can incorporate some of the fine arts through the dyad program. So that's a question that your principal and staff will be able to answer better than me. But we have no intention of decreasing fine arts. You could see from the dyad model, our intent is actually to grow the fine arts. Okay? Thank you.
Will the stipends stay the same?
Will the stipends be the same for?
Band and orchestra and dance and fine
Yes,
arts.
so any elective teacher, any teacher, period, that's in the NES school or NES aligned school will receive the same stipend. There's no difference in stipend for the NES schools.
Hi, my name is Linda Skurlock, and I live in Central Southwest Houston. I noticed that there are no types of things like this in my area. I'm in the Madison-Westbury feeder pattern, and so I've got to go several miles to Adams for my area, and I just don't think that's right. I think with the number of people in the Westbury and Madison feeder pattern, there should be one meeting for us.
Thanks for asking. So Madison is in the southwest.
It's called Central Southwest.
Central, okay, Central Southwest, okay. And I don't know at this time if any schools in the Madison feeder pattern have volunteered to be an NES-aligned school. I suspect there are, but I don't know that yet. I will know it pretty soon. So maybe there are. As you heard, Principal Green took a poll of her staff, so they're volunteers. They don't have to do this. And so I'm hoping that there's some couple schools in the Madison feeder pattern that want to be NES aligned.
My name is Fernell Hogan. I'm a community advocate for the Acres Home area. Hear you speaking about resources and equity. I just want to know where financial education fits at with the HISD model with the new schools.
So except for high school, and I think there are many high school programs that emphasize financial literacy, we don't have financial literacy at K through 8. But you do here.
No, we have it in the community, so I just want to know how does it fit?
So right now, the schedule is set. We don't have financial literacy in the K through 8, so we'll have to incorporate financial literacy in the high schools. I don't know if that will always be the case, but it is the case right now.
SB 1063, which requires the high school students to have a semester of financial education. That should be something that should be stressed in the high schools as well.
And I'm saying it is stressed in the high school. I thought your question was, are we going to have it in the rest of the school system? And right now, there's no plan to have K-8 have financial literacy. I know some schools do, but not in the NES schools. Okay.
Hi, good evening. I'm Deirdre Brown Dobbins. I am a community member / teacher / parent. And my question is, being that early childhood is one of the foundational building blocks of the educational system, how do we fit into this transformation? Because I've seen K through 2, we often get forgotten. So I want to know what that will look like.
Either you want to, I can answer it first and then. Okay. So let me start the answer, because I know the board is also interested in early childhood. We are interested in early childhood and expanding early childhood. So there will be an effort. We can't do it overnight across the board, but in the NES schools, we're going to try to expand pre-K programs. I already told the early childhood director that, one, we want to decrease the number of kids in pre-K from 22 to 15 per teacher. Also at the early, yeah, that's a good thing, guys. Also at the early childhood centers, and we have 8 of them, we want to decrease the numbers, and I told her to put together a plan so that we decrease the numbers from 22 to 15. Some of those classes had 30 kids. So we're going to decrease that to 15 kids per teacher. So that means adding pre-K students. We'll try to expand. We'll try to expand that in the future, but we got to start somewhere.
Thank you for your question. I just wanted to double down here and say that as a board, this is something that we are very interested in. As Mr. Miles mentioned, we are awaiting a plan from the new administration. But this is something that, as Mr. Miles mentioned, takes some time to build out. But there are some state incentives that we essentially are leaving on the table that would help us draw down more state dollars to expand pre-K. There are a lot of children in HISD that would benefit from the expansion of pre-K if we could only find some seats to put them in. And there are essentially some low-hanging fruit in terms of seats available for these pre-K students. So this is something that we are committed to working on in the very near term. Thank you for that question.
Thank you, Board Member Cruz Arnold. I forgot to mention that